City of Lethbridge Fire Department. Now, the topic that I want to cover, being a real estate agent, I have a lot of potential landlords and landlords ask me about the secondary suite requirements. So Doug, can you tell me just a little bit, like for example, how old can a house be to qualify, like, or new or old? When can a house qualify as far as age?
The cutoff date for pre-existing secondary suite is December 31st, 2006.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so December 31st, 2006. That's the cutoff.
That's right.
Okay, now there are some specific requirements that a house has to meet in order to qualify. So, like for example, I know windows have to meet egress compliance.
That's right.
What other things do they need to qualify for?
You need to qualify for height of your suite.
Okay.
It has to be a certain height. The stairway coming down into the suite has to be a certain width.
Okay.
The furnace room has to be separated with either drywall on the ceiling and the walls on both sides, or we allow a sprinkler system to be installed in the furnace room. In the furnace room, there needs to be a door on the furnace room. You also need to have interconnected smoke detectors, and they have to be hardwired into the electrical source of the house.
Okay.
And when I say interconnected, that means connected to the suite upstairs and the suite downstairs. And we also allow a radio signal for those detectors to talk to one another. So if one goes off, the other one goes off.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to run a wire between the detectors to have them both talk to one another. We allow a radio signal.
Okay, yeah, because that's one thing I was going to ask, because I know that there are the new ones that are basically programmable, but they're wireless.
Yes.
Those qualify.
Yes.
Now you were talking about ceiling height. So ceiling height is what, 7'7"?
Yeah, that's about right.
7'7", right in that area.
Yeah.
Window size. I know I personally did this in one of my suites. What I did is I actually put in a window that was 4 foot wide by 3 foot wide, which actually was greater than, but it was actually cheaper for me to do that than to go with the actual size. So that's something that I learned.
That's right.
Along the way. And then of course the stairwell, you said.
Yeah.
Now here's one that I run into quite often. Can a building that is a half duplex qualify for the secondary suite?
No.
It cannot, correct?
It cannot, because it's not zoned right.
That's right. It's not so much that it can't qualify, it's that it's not under the zoning portion of it.
Right.
And that would also go under your parking as well, right?
Right. So there's certain requirements from the development department from the city, and one of them is being zoned, like we talked about, and the other one is you need 3 off-street parking stalls.
Okay.
And so if you have a garage, a 2-car garage, that counts as 2.
Okay.
And so your pad out front, depending on the size, could count for 1 or 2 spots.
Oh, okay.
And you can even have a pad in the back. Now, it doesn't have to be a paved pad. It can be a gravel pad.
Okay, but as long as you have 3 off-street parking,
that's right,
then you can do it. Now, that's only for single-family homes, no duplexes whatsoever.
That's right, yeah.
And now, the other big question is why would a landlord do this? And is there any kind of incentives there for him, like financial? Like, is there anything financially that a guy could do?
Yes, there is. We offer up to $2,500 back. So if you spend $5,000, you get half of that back, up to $2,500.
Okay.
So that's only the things that we've talked about. So the window, if you need to pour the cement, we cover half of that.
Okay.
We cover the windows for half of it. We cover anything that we've talked about the secondary suite, we cover half of that.
Oh, awesome. So
$2,500.
Yeah, and that's an application through the fire prevention department,
that's
correct?
Right. For pre-existing suites.
Yeah, and that's not a city application, that's a fire prevention.
That's right.
Now, here's the big thing. What happens if somebody doesn't follow these rules and the neighbor complains?
Then we ask them to comply, and there's actually money available for you to do that.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to comply, then we ask you to vacate the suite.
Yeah. So really, it pays off, and it's quite important for us to do it.
That's right.
And as a landlord myself, I'm okay with that, because ultimately it comes down to the safety of our tenants.
That's right.
And it's I found also that I can rent my properties for hire because they are just a better suite.
That's right.
So
and you get a certificate from the city that says you have a legal conforming suite, and you can keep that the rest of the time that you own the property, or even when you sell it, you can show that you have a legal.
And that's what I was going to ask, because I do have clients that sell their properties and maybe have gone through this. That is actually something that we can use as a selling tool as
That's
well.
right, yeah.
Which is fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Those are fantastic tips. Doug, I appreciate you taking the time.
No
I know
problem.
that you're at the Home and Garden Show, so we got a little bit of noise in the background.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic just for us to share back just the regulations of the secondary suite. So I appreciate it. Thank
No
you for your
problem.
time.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.